Hello, good evening, welcome. I am Samuel Trapp. This is International Flavor. You are listening to Damn Radio. Right now it is 9 p.m. on the, where are we? The 19th of March. I did a show this morning and I had to cut it loose. I drove all night and I probably shouldn't have risked it, but I chose to do it. And I've decided not to upload it into the atmosphere. I think I'm gonna do a whole new show on it, but I didn't want to miss it. Last show of the weekend, a lot of big topics to talk about, and I've now had a bit of sleep. I'm not even going to go back and listen to it. What I started with this morning, that I'm going to repeat some of today and hopefully be a little more coherent for the recorded version is. Not that I wasn't, but I think I was too tired. No, my thoughts weren't as put together as I would have liked them to be. But I drove all night, and I drove. I was, checking out gas prices nationwide is what I was doing, at least in the Southeast. I drove from Missouri to Florida, and then around Florida a little bit, and drove from Miami back to Missouri. It's like a 23-hour route from Miami to Osage Beach or Lake Ozark. I am coming to you live from the Lake Ozark Real Estate of the Art Studio. You can listen live all the time at damradio.com/live. You can phone in should you feel the urge, 573-746-8020. And I may even take a call or two should you feel the urge. But I'm at a different time slot right now, trying to replace what I had this morning. And so tomorrow is the 20th, obviously, since today's 19th. And on the 20th, we're going to be on at 7 a.m. tomorrow with Civic Outlaws. Usually we go 7:30 to 8:45, but I want to do a little bit more clean and have a standard slot. We're going to move to 7 o'clock and go 7 o'clock to 8:30 for Civic Outlaws, and we'll change that time. We'll make sure that it's all done appropriately. I'm also going to try to do my Russian program, Russian speaking, tomorrow morning if I get enough sleep. But I may do it over the weekend. I think I'd prefer to do that one on a weekend. I'm going to look for a Sunday morning or something like that is what I think I'm going to do. Anyway, and so that'll probably be 9 o'clock-ish as well. Big topic on everybody's lips. People are arguing about it, that are good friends, arguing about whether it should or should not be a war. And we argue about it here on Damn Radio. We have several people who think this is God's gift to the planet and that we should be all happy to be going to war with Iran. And I'm one of the people who believes that we followed Netanyahu. And I wanted to find that clip. It's the only one I didn't find. I didn't go out looking for it. But the Rubio clip, you know what? I really think it's in the... I think I will be able to play that for you because the big news is the and I watched the whole two-hour discussion between Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent. I've watched people beat up on him most of the day today. Now there's a story that I was reading just recently. Where is this? Why is the FBI investigating now? This is bullshit, pardon my French, but this is bullshit. The FBI is now investigating the former counterterrorism chief who opposes the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. I oppose it too. I think we followed along. We were led by the leash, by the Netanyahu leash, and now we have Trump and Netanyahu saying, oh, geez, we don't have that leash, but we always follow these guys. I am no fan of Netanyahu. I think he's a brutal, brutal man. Listening to Joe Kent with Tucker Carlson for the 2 hours on the Wednesday night show and listening to him explain why was actually kind of enlightening and interesting because he feels the same way, that these people, Israelis, are and have been at war and they look at things differently than we do. I do not like... absolutely do not like and am no fan. I think it is un-American for us to be associated with such a brutal, brutal man. That's a brutal man. They have a brutal point of view on this. They have no problem killing women and children. You know, oh, we're going to be fighting them later, so let's kill them. I think that is wrong. I think that 67,000 Palestinians is wrong, no matter how you slice it. And, you know, dealing with terror in America does not mean going to Iran and blowing the whole place up. They've been around for 2,500 plus years. They're not going anywhere. And I don't think we're going to force them to. But now the FBI investigating Joe Kent. This is how it goes. You beat up on the messenger who you don't like. It's the exact same, whether you're Republican, Democrat, MAGA, doesn't matter. If somebody says something suddenly you disagree with, you crucify him, you slaughter him. And that's what's going on with Joe Kent. He wrote a letter, said why he was leaving. He met with the president, told the president why he was leaving, told him what he was going to do. He said it didn't go, you know, poorly, but it didn't go horrible either. And now Joe Kent, who claims that Israel influenced President Trump, is being probed as a leak, a person who leaks, because that's what you do. You have to destroy him, not for the message. No. You got to destroy him for something completely unrelated. Good. We had to get rid of him anyway, says Trump. He needed to go anyway. He's bad. Now he's bad. He wasn't bad when you appointed him, but now he's bad. By the way, he said the same thing in 2024 when you were running for office about Iran that he's saying today. Maybe he is bad, but he's consistent, and you hired him anyway. And so former head of he resigned in protest over the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Now he's under investigation, according to Semaphore. A probe into alleged improper sharing of classified information was opened before Kent quit his post and accused the Israeli government of manipulating intelligence to influence Donald Trump's decision to launch a bombing campaign aimed at toppling the Iranian government. Now, I'm going to play if I can find it, I'm going to play the clip of Rubio the day after saying that they knew that Netanyahu was going and they chose to go along with him. If you say you're not being let in by Netanyahu, you're full of crap. You know, we're exactly following their playbook. And we are exactly following their slaughter of people. Whether it's Palestinians, whether it's Iranians, they are still people. You claim you're going to make some kind of change over there. You will not. There will be no change. We're not going to have a new, different sort of government. Instead, now you've created another generation of martyrs. That's what you've done by killing all these people. You are the decapitations. I totally disagree with, and I believe it's un-American. That is not what we do. And now we have our own leaders. We don't do that. Israel does that. Ukraine does that. They attack the individual. They're killing individuals. Now, I'm completely against that form. I believe it's a form of terrorism. Now, you probably think that's a bit much for me, but you know, what are you creating? Martyrs. This is not a good plan, Mr. Netanyahu. And this is what he does. And when we follow him and do exactly what he wants, we are painted with the same brush. Listen to this and how this goes. This is callous discussions. And these are people we're talking about. You disagree with them, they're your enemy, whatever. You know, let's bring them in and fillet them. Why don't we slice off layers of their skin? Why don't we torture them? Why don't we go back to what it was in the Middle Ages and skin them? We'll just skin them. Why don't we go back to this torture? Because they are less than people. And same thing that went on in Ukraine when they're taking Russians and they were pissing on them and they were torturing them. They were shooting them in the leg and torturing them right there. There's videos of it. It's the exact same BS all the time. And the more harsh you are, the better it is for you, I suppose. I disagree. And, that is why we have the Geneva Convention. You don't torture people. You don't decapitate. Now, that's not in the Geneva Convention. You can't decapitate, but you can kill them. You can decapitate, strike, but you don't kill in this manner. I think it's just wrong. It's inhuman. It has nothing to do with right, wrong, and whether Israel, who believes they're the chosen ones, get to slaughter at will, because it's another generation of people that are going to slaughter us if we don't. So hell with it. Let's slaughter them all. Men, women, children. If we've killed their dad 20 years from now, they're going to be the people that come after us because they remember that we killed their dad. So we need to kill the children too, right? That's how it goes. I mean, you bomb a school because you want to get the Navy. This is a naval children's school for Navy people. Let's bomb that. Nobody knows that was really a mistake. Who gave the targeting? Was it Israel that gave you the targeting for that? To create these sorts of things with a war you cannot get out of? If you think Iran is going to capitulate based on this, you better think again. It's incorrect. But if you have people giving this message, like I'm giving, and I'm not Joe Kent, I'm nobody, but Joe Kent gives this similar thing. He said that the right people were not consulted and that there's kind of a cabal of people. And it's always a cabal. It's always the Lindsey Grahams going out and, oh, geez, they're going to get nuclear weapons. They're enriching uranium. Enriched uranium doesn't mean you have a nuclear weapon. Doesn't mean it. And by the way, they've had a fatwa on nuclear weapons for a long time. And so we don't believe him. All right, but we believe Netanyahu. If he opens his mouth, we ought to believe him, right? Oh, geez, he's Israeli. He's God's chosen one. He can do whatever he wants. He's a brutal, murdering guy. But, geez, he's God's chosen one. What are we supposed to do? Didn't you learn that in Sunday school, Sam? I sure did, but I disagree with it because you do not slaughter women and children. You don't do it. It's just wrong. You do not decapitate, strike, and kill the leaders, creating martyrs. This is your policy. It's a BS policy. Listen to this clip. Okay, this is, and I'm embarrassed for Mike Huckabee. I'm embarrassed for Netanyahu. Of course, he's always an embarrassment in my view. But now I'm embarrassed for Mike Huckabee. This is nonsense. I disagree with this. Now you might agree with it and go, oh, geez, it's just like throwing the playing card, the Saddam Hussein playing cards at people. Oh, what do you got? I got the ace of spades. Look, we blew this guy away. That is un-American. Okay. I never liked it then. I don't like it now. You don't just kill people. I mean, you can be at war with them. That is different on a battlefield where you go. But decapitation strikes and blowing up a meeting place of people running a country is crap. Bombing into Qatar without telling Qatar because there's some Hezbollah leaders who were negotiating. They were called there to negotiate, Israel. And so what do? You blow up the place inside of Qatar. That is crap. And you didn't even tell Qatar about it. But of course, Qatar can't do anything about it. Why? Because the U.S. won't do anything about it. If the U.S. isn't ever going, nobody will ever limit Netanyahu. That is a huge beef for me. And I am one of the people who believes that whatever Israel says, we just bend over or we take our leash, America on a dog leash. You ought to put some kind of meme about that. Maybe I'll have AI create one and use it for this show. But we're going to listen right here to this embarrassing piece between Netanyahu and Mike Huckabee. This is embarrassing. So let's hear. Now, the backdrop for this is there's been some claims on social media the last few days that Netanyahu was dead. So he went to a coffee shop. There was discussion about his fingers in the videos in the coffee shop, said it was AI generated because he had 6 fingers at a couple of points. And then, so they did it again, and he was somewhere else. And that one, he didn't have a ring, and he did have a ring, and he didn't. And the ring kept going back and forth where he would have a ring, and he didn't have a ring. So everybody was all up in arms about that and said these are AI generated. Well, just because it's AI generated doesn't mean a person is dead. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. When you go to your logic class, those two things don't go together or don't have to go together in order for both to be true. Just because one is true doesn't mean the other is true. Just because he has a ring and then doesn't have a ring, or even that the video is AI generated, doesn't mean that he's dead or alive. You could be creating AI videos because he don't want to go to a damn coffee shop, but he wants to appear like he went to a coffee shop. That doesn't mean he's dead. So that's the dispute, and it's been quite a big deal that people are passing around stuff about that. But while that was going on, this backdrop says, geez, we want to make sure that you're really alive. And here's Huckabee talking with, and it's only a minute, 18 seconds, so let's hear what these bozos have to say. Where is it? Hope it's not too loud for you. I've had a little trouble with the volume.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, I wanted you to know the President asked me to come and make sure you were okay.
Yes, Mike. Yes, I'm alive.
I checked that, and I'm happy to see that. But he wanted to make sure because, you guys get along too well.
I know, and we shake hands with 5 fingers in each hand.
5 fingers, see him mentioning that?
I'm alive.
And he pulls out a list.
Card.
Oh.
And, don't read it. So it's a punch card.
Mm-hmm.
Today I erased 2 names on the punch cards, and you see how many more to go on this batch.
You know what the good news is? My name is not on the punch card.
Your name is on the list of the good guys.
Thank you.
And what the President, the U.S. forces are doing is incredible. We're very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them.
He should say, we're very glad that we were able to suck them into coming to this war. This is a killer, okay? That's a killer. Oh, I got a list in here, and we're going and killing these guys. There was something on last night that said, without any further discussion, none, they can target and kill anybody that is anywhere in any leadership. That's just an open kill order. Like if they ever see any leader, let's say you go to a negotiation and there's a leader sitting in there, or you happen to know that he's going to be there having a meeting of something else. You don't have to question. You don't have to ask. You don't have to go up the chain of command to find out if we're killing these leaders. You don't have to do any of it. Nope, kill them. And you can kill them quite a few levels down if you're an Israeli murderer, and I shouldn't call him that, an Israeli killer, okay? Because it's still war, but we go hunt them down and we kill individuals at every level. They want to go down so far that they have no level. There's 93 million people in Iran. Trust me, the level you'd have to go to is very, very far down. And I believe, I've had this discussion 3 or 4 times right here on this show, the danger of a nuclear weapon being used and escalation will never die. This is an escalation hound. This guy, Netanyahu, is Mr. Escalation. And if Iran, you bring a knife, I'll bring a gun. You bring a gun, I'll bring a machine gun. You bring a machine gun, I'll bring a cannon. You bring a cannon, I'm bringing a tank. You bring a tank, I'll bring a battleship. And that is this guy. And he will always one up. The risk of nuclear button being pushed is this killer right here. That is more likely than any other scenario. Nobody is close to a weapon in Iran. There's nothing that says that they are except enriched uranium. And enriched uranium is now the discussion. It doesn't have anything to do. They already said. So President Trump says no nuclear weapons. These guys say, all right, no nuclear weapons. You're negotiating. While you're negotiating, Israel blows up the place you're meeting in. It's nonsense. This is not negotiation. This is not diplomacy by any stretch at all. And so this joke, I didn't like this at all, this joking about killing and murder. I am not a fan of that. So a report on Thursday coincided with efforts by Trump administration allies, and of course, pro-Israel commentators now get to say that Kent was a known leaker, and they've already started it. He's an anti-Semite. If you say anything like I just said about Netanyahu, you are anti-Semitic. Suddenly, you're an enemy of Israel because you are anti-Semitic. You can't have a disagreement without being anti-Semitic. If you're instantly, again, your logic equation where the two don't equal, that's okay when you're talking about Israel. What it's like what color uniform you're going to wear. Doesn't matter. Well, that's not a good example. I was going to put an example of where to touch these wacky logic change that these guys use to turn everybody into an anti-Semite. If you say something, anything remotely like it, if you don't fall over immediately and start, oh, geez, we love the Israelis, and then you're an anti-Semite. At what level do you become pro-Semitic? I mean, where does that happen? If you're not pro, then suddenly you're anti, right? It's a plus or a minus. That's it. Black or white. There's no levels that I like. I don't give a crap. You want to be a people. You want to live over there. As long as you aren't dragging me into unnecessary wars, I give a shit. I don't care. But if you're going to drag me into wars, I don't want anything to do with you. And Netanyahu is dragging us into wars. So Kent's resignation letter blamed the consequences of the new Middle East conflict on Israel. I happen to agree with him. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. He wrote to Trump. This echo chamber is used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States and that you should strike now. There was a clear path to a swift victory, he added. There isn't, by the way, suggesting Israel played a significant role in previous regional conflicts, including Iraq and Syria. All true. Such accusations are uncommon in mainstream U.S. political discourse, where they can prompt allegation of anti-Americanism or, more likely, anti-Jewish bigotry, unlike criticism of a country's own leadership. So we can criticize our own leadership all day long and twice on Sunday. But you cannot criticize Netanyahu without suddenly being an anti-Semite. Nonsense. Such accusations are uncommon, right? Over the years, Trump's domestic critics have called him a Russian puppet. Remember that? An insurrectionist, a convicted felon who must be barred from serving a second term. Now, left-wing commentators like Rachel Maddow claim the president attacking Iran after being corruptly influenced by Arab Gulf monarchies. I don't say that. I think she's nuts and she's wrong. I think he's been influenced and followed Netanyahu. So, what are Kent's national security credentials? Kent is a military veteran who served 11 tours in Iraq, mostly, before becoming a CIA paramilitary officer. His first wife, Shannon, served in the U.S. Army's Intelligence Support Activity Unit, was killed in a terrorist attack in Manbij, Syria in 2019. He's been a vocal supporter of Trump and the Make America Great Again agenda. Before his appointment to the second administration, he publicly opposed war with Iran. And he really did. Let's listen to what he told what's his nuts, Tucker Carlson. Ready? Here's the Tucker part.
Who later went on to become, until yesterday, the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. Here it is.
What do you think the immediate and then longer term effects of a war with Iran would be on the United States?
Immediately, it would be very bloody. I have no doubt that we could probably defeat some of their air defense and go in there and have another shock and awe campaign. But again, like we saw how the shock and awe campaign in Iraq really didn't actually work in the long run. So I have no doubt that we'd have some immediate results that people would cheer about here in the United States. But Iran, Persia has always been an empire. It's been around longer than any of the other players in the modern Middle East right now, and they are not going anywhere. If we get deeply involved and deeply entangled with Iran, we are playing right into China's hands, because China would like nothing more than for us to be committing our military industrial base to a war in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine, and then to be committing our conventional military power, our blood and our treasure back in the Middle East. That will make the Pacific, our actual border, extremely vulnerable to Chinese aggression. Or China will simply just watch us bleed out economically as we bleed out on the battlefield on these couple different theaters. It's absolute insanity. It's opening up Pandora's box. And again, for what gain to the American people?
Now, that was 2024, and I do encourage you. Here I am looking at it. Last night when I watched it, there were like 200,000 views or something. Right now, there's 1,728,208 views of the video he posted yesterday. And, that's a big deal. And the clips of it, I think people need to pay attention to. This echo chamber BS that we need to take out Iran. We need to take out. It's nonsense. It is complete untruthful crap being pumped down your throat to join another war in another place that we don't belong. And somebody asked me to provide this today, so I'm going to. There's some good music too. We'll play that later. But I have another one. Where in the health is this? Here is, it's called, and I went and found it. It's called Trump, the old Trumpster. I got a bunch of music on here, so I got to scroll through it. But here's Donald Trump for 2 minutes, and people on his behalf for 2 minutes talking about, his views on war. Hang on 1 second. We're going to make sure it gets right where we need it to be so we get every moment of this hilarious video in the privacy of your own home. Ready? Here we go. Here's Donald Trump a bunch of times for a whole 2 minutes and other people speaking on his behalf.
I am the candidate of peace. I am peace. People don't believe that. I am peace.
A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them.
We do not want war with Iran. We actually want peace. The Iranians are clearly not very good at war. Perhaps they should follow President Trump's lead and give peace a chance.
Kamala's campaigning with warmongers like Liz Cheney. How do you think that is? She picks Liz Cheney, whose father virtually destroyed the Middle East. You know, Liz Cheney, she talks big, oh, I want war. She always wants war. Every time I was with her in the White House, we should attack this nation, that nation, nations that people never even heard of, we should attack. She's a big tough guy. She sits back in Washington, oh, we ought to go and attack Iran, Iraq. We're going to attack everybody. That's why I broke up with her. All she wanted to do is go to war with everybody. These war hawks, they want to draft your kids to die in wars, and they will never fight themselves. You know, we'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, you know, the wars that never end. These endless wars that we've been in, I've gotten us out of so many. We don't want to get into wars. We're tired of fighting. I'm the only president in the last 84 years that didn't start a war. Under Trump, we will have no more wars. No more wars. No more wars. We will have prosperity and peace. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Remember, I'm the president of peace. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. He's going to start a war. I said, no. My rhetoric is going to keep us out of wars. And that's what happened. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. I believe that he will attack Iran sometime prior to the election because he thinks that's the only way he can get elected. Isn't it pathetic?
Quite pathetic, frankly, that we have to go to war. And I, for one, disagree. I am not a fan. International flavor does not support war in Iran. It's just wrong. I don't support war for other countries. I think it's wrong. I don't care about Iran. And if Iran are bad guys, great. Be bad guys in Iran. You're not going to get rid of, let's say you kill the top million, okay? Let's kill off the top million people. You still got 91 million below that who think the same way, right? This nonsense about, oh, geez, they just want democracy and they want to overthrow their government and it's going to be better. No, it's not. It's not any better in Venezuela. You take out the most corrupt person and put in the second or third most corrupt person. It's not changing. And then you steal the oil, so that's okay. We've taken the oil. Right? This is good stuff. We've taken the oil. We have regime change. Well, we've regime changed with decapitation strikes in Iran, and it will not work long term. We're right in the same old crap. Now, there's been some talk about J.D. Vance, and I haven't done enough research on it, but boy, now it's coming up that he hasn't been there beating the drum, for the old Trumpster, beating the war drums for Iran. Because everybody's supposed to be beating the war drum now. We're supposed to be very pro blowing shit up and killing people and decapitation strikes and taking out individuals and finding out where they're having coffee and blowing up the entire coffee shop to kill one person. I listened to an Iranian show last night. Well, actually it wasn't, but an Iranian man, very well spoken, English speaking, and there was one of them was in Qatar, and I really should find that video. This guy was nuts. There was a U.S. guy that was speaking, an economist, and he kept, and his theory was, now, I admit, my economics degree is University of Illinois, okay? That's, that'll tell you how mine is. And it was many years ago. So it's economics, Russian studies. So that's me. I have a law degree, but big deal. The economics, I'm no economic genius, but I'm a lot smarter than this poor guy. He gets up there. Excuse me. I don't know his background, but he was put on as he was representing some company, not government company, and so this was an Al Jazeera English interview. 3 participants: one American, one Iranian, and one Chinese guy. Okay, because the person, the moderator, was the guy asking the questions. He was in Doha, in Qatar, and he starts talking about, he starts with the American guy, whatever his name was, and he starts with that guy, and he says, all right, so the prices of gas and the prices of liquid natural gas have gone up dramatically since the start of the war in Iran. And this guy says, oh, that's not a problem for America. He said, America, it's all okay. I'm driving at the time, paying $4 a gallon for gas on the way back home, and I was just pleased a month ago here in Missouri to say, geez, I just paid $2.49 and they say it's going to drop to $2.39. And, and I said at the time, I was like, I generally support Trump nationally. I don't support him. I think he's a mess internationally, and I don't support hardly any of the things he's doing internationally. But if he keeps my gas prices low, I suppose I won't bitch too much. No, maybe I'm the one that caused all of this, because as soon as you mention something, it's like, well, it gets taken away, Don't Well, don't mention it. Don't mention that you're only paying $2.50 for gas. And this guy who they had interviewing, he said, well, for us, gas and oil, the prices for us, they only rise in America. We supply all of our own gas now. We're self-sufficient and we're a net exporter, right? And he says, so that being the case, our gas prices are more reflective of the national market and not the international. And the way I took it, he said it wrong probably, is that the reason the gas prices are going up is because of the international issues. But that they don't really need to, because everything is produced in the United States. Everything is for us. We're a net exporter. So if that is truly the case, why in the world are our prices going up? Because they're price gouging me for $1 to $1.50 a gallon? Is that what's going on? Because you can, so you might as well. Not that you have to. You know, you've already got the gas. Those prices should be 3-4 weeks behind at least, but they're not. They instantly go up. And diesels are like $5.50. It's nonsense. I'm glad I no longer drive my Passat, the Volkswagen. Anyway, I realize I'm bitching on this. This morning I was too damn tired, and now I'm on a roll. Still got a bit of a cough, emphysema. Probably be dead in a week. Who knows? I don't have emphysema, and I shouldn't make jokes about that. I'll be as bad as Netanyahu and Huckabee joking about the kill list. You know, let's go. Jesus, here's your deck of cards with Saddam Hussein on it. We're gonna kill him. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. It's un-American. Let's see where else. The Piers Morgan show. This guy's a genius anyway. But let's listen to this. We're going to listen to just the tiniest bit, because here's Lindsey Graham, of course, going to town on and the lies he tells right here, or the stretching of the truth right here. Let's put it that way. Pay attention to this is how you get eternal war. You put a guy like this in charge of your purse. Oops, I've turned it down. Now I messed it up. Had it all lined up and put it on, push click. Now I got to go back a couple seconds, make sure we get it all. But he had some guy bitching about money that was pretty damn funny. He said it was millions of dollars. Anyway, here we go. I wanted to skip that part.
A retired Green Beret and a veteran of 11 combat tours
talking
across
about
20 years service in the U.S.
Kent.
Army. He blamed the October 7th terror attack on America's failure to curtail Iran's threat. And amid a flurry of media criticism about reported links to far-right groups, he publicly disavowed the likes of Nick Fuentes. All of this earned him the endorsement of many conservative commentators as he sought political office. President Trump then appointed him as the top counter-terrorism official in the US, a position from which he dramatically resigned yesterday. His statement said, "I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. It's clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." Well, Joe Kent is now facing the full force of the war spin machine, spearheaded by Ben Shapiro, Lindsey Graham, and Mark Levin, who says he should be investigated for espionage.
Yeah, here comes Lindsey Graham. We need to take that guy down. Here, you ready?
What are you doing? You're giving aid and comfort to a lie.
He's the lie right here.
Threat. How much more imminent could you be?
Where's the imminent threat? Well, listen to his justification for imminent threat. This is the guy you got to watch out for. This guy will stand there naked and say he's wearing the emperor's new clothes. This is the guy.
Within 2 weeks, having enough material to make 10 bombs. How close could you come? Not much.
Now,
and even if they have one, so what?
That is conspiracy trash. It's also kind of strange since President Trump has said that it's conspiracy trash. So apparently Trump is so deeply enthralled to those strange, powerful American lobbies. We're not going to say it. That he apparently has been so bamboozled by them that he's still under the impression that he's his own man.
Well, for his part, President Trump, who appointed Joe Kent as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, said he's not a smart person and has always been weak on security. If nothing else, it's another lesson in how quickly...
And this is what I hate about Trump. So Trump, if you turn on him, he does the exact same thing. Well, he was stupid anyway. Well, good. We should have gotten rid of him. But you're the one who hired him. You picked him. You chose not to listen to him. You choose to listen to people, same old crap, same old. What do you call it? Deep state actors. Lindsey Graham. Tell you what, it will not change. Now. The big part comes to. So we've heard all the videos that I'm going to show right now. We're not going to listen to that guy. Hegseth has a couple of things going on. He needs $200 billion. The war has already cost $12 billion. 3 weeks, $12 billion. $4 billion a week. Now it's not going to last only 2 weeks. It's going to work 6. There was another person I listened to that on another show that said, "Oh no, we're about halfway through." She was an American spokesperson. She did work for the government. I wish I'd have kept her name. But we're halfway through this. We're almost done. Now it's no longer a 2-week or a 3-day or any sort of war like that. Now it's suddenly 6 weeks, and at the end of 6 weeks, we're close. It'll be 12, right? It's this is nonsense. And Hegseth is here pitching for more money. This guy, I used to enjoy watching him sometimes on Fox News. I thought he was an interesting guy. Now he's angry. He's angry all the time. Kill him. He wants to kill people. The Biden administration, according to him, depleted the U.S. weapon stock by sending it to Kiev. The Pentagon chief says Pentagon is now prioritizing refilling its own weapon stock instead of sending weapons to Ukraine, says Hegseth. He blames the Biden administration for any challenges the U.S. military has been facing in supplies and equipment lately. He made these remarks Thursday during a media briefing along Air Force Colonel Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs. Butt cheeks, asked about the reported $200 billion more war chest they have been seeking from Congress to fund the Iran war. Hegseth confirmed the discussions were ongoing and appeared to imply the requested supplement could grow even beyond that. As far as $200 billion, I think that number could move, obviously. Listen to this. Here's another great guy. It takes money to kill bad guys, said Hegseth. The additional funding is needed to replenish U.S. military stocks to ensure that we're properly funded for what's been done and for what we may have to do in the future, now that we're the War Department and not the Department of Defense or the Department of War. And so you name it, appropriately at least. And he pointed fingers, of course, just like all Trumpsters, at previous administrations. They're all stupid, we're geniuses, and we've got it going on. Now, I support Trumpster at home. If he wanted to pump up some things to combat terror here, all right. Prior administrations have stolen some of our rights in that regard anyway. You want to beef up some crap here? Fine. This getting into new wars? Screw that. I have no interest in it, and I don't want to do it. And by the way, I'm not alone. It's more than half of America that think like me. And I don't mean that means it's okay. I've been the Lone Ranger on several things before. It doesn't mean I'm not right. I am right. But it's when you're asking what the people want and who's going to send their kids to fight, when the hell's Lindsey Graham going to be out there with a weapon? Stand a post there, buddy. Here's Hegseth. We are also still dealing with the environment that Joe Biden created. These guys are continually blaming others, which was depleted those stockpiles and not sending them to our own military, but to Ukraine, which is every time we reach back and look at any sort of challenge we have, it goes back to, send this to Ukraine. Ultimately, we think these munitions are better spent in our own interests at this point. Tell you what, it'd be great if you'd have done this back when I said to do it, when you first took office. All you had to do was cut off Ukraine. That war'd be over right now. We have nothing to do with it. If you didn't cause the war in Iran, that sucker'd be over too. Let Netanyahu fight his own crap. We don't have anything to do with it, nor should we. Regardless of any justification, regardless of, oh, gee, you're an anti-Semite if you're not willing to send 1 million troops over to invade Iran. 2,500 troops on their way from Singapore or wherever they were stopped. It's taken them like a week and a half to get their ship from wherever they were stationed. Starting in Japan, they were in Singapore last I heard, and now they're going to be about a week and a half, 10 days until they get to the Gulf, so they can go in there and try to take this Kark Island, which is nonsense too, because nobody's going to let you have it. If you go in there and take that, it doesn't take any genius to know that if I can't have it, neither can you, will be the game. And the one-upsmanship being played right now, will you bomb our oil fields? What does Iran do? They send over the leaflets and the flyers, and they put out the radio thing that says, listen, we're coming to Qatar. Here's the gas. Here's the LNG. Here's the oil fields that we're going to strike. We are striking these facilities. Get the civilians out because we're going to blow them up. And there aren't any patriots left. There's no defense. There's nothing going on over there, and they can get them through anyway. And they have. And they've done, and so it's back and forth, and it will be one-upsmanship all the way down the line. That's what's going to happen. Kyiv is displaying its ever-growing appetite for more Western funding and military deliveries with the conflict, and they routinely accuse their backers, which includes us, with not providing enough support. Yeah. We need you guys to move quicker. We need you to give us more money. These guys haven't paid for anything with their own economy because they don't have one. It's destroyed. You have Ukraine, the beggar state, right now. That's it. It's the beggar state. They don't produce anything, except maybe some. I heard an article that said they had some pretty good FPVs, first-person view drones. These drones that go out, because when they send these drones into Belgorod or into Bryansk regions of Russia, and they send them over there, they send several. So they'll send several attack ones and then a couple of video ones, and so they can keep track of the attacks and where they're going. And there's something going on with Elon Musk in the Starlink stuff, because Starlink doesn't stop at the borders, but Russia can't have it. And so Starlink, there are going to be problems there, but what they've been doing, and the Ukrainians have their Starlink, and the Russian terminals have all been shut off, which is creating a few problems for them. And I talked to you about that within the last month or so. And it is causing some issues. But in the reverse side, Ukraine can send over these attacks into the Russian territories and are still getting coverage from Starlink inside of Russia. Interesting, and I'm not sure how that ends up. Now, Russia's got the Sputnik type, and I forget what the name of it is. It's not Sputnik, but it's the type of Sputnik where they're sending up their own satellites in conjunction with some of the China ones to implement their own sort of Starlink as well that will give it back to them. But they're behind in that respect, in that regard. But Kyiv, Zelensky's advances have been snubbed by... I missed a sentence here. Zelensky claims that Washington, as well as the Gulf states, have sought Kyiv's help in fending off Iranian retaliatory strikes and floated, swapping Ukrainian interceptor drones for U.S.-made anti-aircraft Patriot missiles. Give us some Patriots, and we'll give you the interceptor drones. Russia created the interceptor drones, by the way, and they're having dogfights with drones. Drones are taking out other drones. Russia's got a laser one. It's pretty damn cool. Zelensky's advances were snubbed by President Trump, who said that Washington had not sought Kyiv's help in the Iran war at all. The U.S. president took personal jabs at the Ukrainian leader, stating that the last person we need help from is Zelensky. Well, at least we're in agreement on that. But you should have cut these bozos off a long time ago. The war would be over. But oh no, you cannot. It's really frustrating to me that he can't do the things he promised when he was running for office. And those are the things I don't like. That, and it's all international crap, all of it. The stuff that he's been doing inside the country, I'm not against it. I'm not one of them. I'm not all necessarily for it. I don't despise people that come from other countries. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. Just come in, live like we do. I'm a happy clam. Come legally. I'm good with that. And as long as you block them, every other country blocks people from coming in without a visa, without being legal. I'm getting my Russian one repeated right now. And I also want to go to a couple other places. But it's a process. Follow the damn process. And I have no problems with you. Boy, I've been all over the place here. But I've been on a roll, so I'm happy with that. So there have been some Ukrainians arrested in India. Ready? Ukraine has the arrest of 6 Ukrainian mercenaries in India with subversive activities is a setback for Kiev's ties with New Delhi. A global strategic analyst tells RT India. On March the 13th, 6 Ukrainians and 1 U.S. citizen were taken into custody by India's anti-terrorism agency for alleged links with insurgents in Myanmar. They've been accused of subversive activities in India's northeast region bordering Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, China, and Bangladesh. One Ukrainian national who was arrested is also linked to the notorious neo-Nazi community in Kiev. India has made the 7 names all public. Ukraine's foreign ministry demanded that detainees receive unhindered consular access. Asked how this would complicate bilateral ties, Shashi Asthana said, he's a Indian political person, this is somehow a setback in a manner that you have seen these mercenaries coming here and creating problems, and India has been quite transparent with them. The Ukrainians will continue to receive unhindered access. That's how the judicial process works. Doesn't mean they're not going to be kept in custody. Regarding the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry statement that its embassy in India hasn't received an official notification, he said, maybe this is what they told me at the media to justify the audience in Ukraine or Kyiv. As far as consular access, there is no problem getting it in India. Even the terrorist who killed people in the Taj Hotel in Mumbai in 2008 were given consular access. This American, Matthew Aaron Van Dyke, is the kingpin in the manner that he calls himself a security specialist. He has been fighting ISIS, Libya, Ukraine, and in other places. Their credentials are in the media, all 7 of them. The U.S. citizen's credentials look like he is on a drone selling spree. India's National Investigative Agency reportedly found evidence that multiple consignments of drones from Europe were delivered by these individuals into groups in Mizoram. Well, that's mercenary stuff. Ukrainian mercenary activity in India is very disturbing. New Delhi does not agree to Kiev's request to release the suspects detained by and anti-terrorism. Recently uncovered Ukrainian mercenaries activity is very disturbing. The group, the anti-terrorism organization, National Investigation Agency, last week arrested the 6 Ukrainians and a U.S. man for training and supplying weapons to insurgents in Myanmar. The men had crossed into India's eastern neighbor's territory and back through the state of Mizoram, which restricts the entry of non-Indian citizens. The lack of Myanmar army personnel on the border is a significant movement of the people, said former Director General of the Assam Rifles. Here's the quote. The Ukrainian embassy has asked for their release, but we are not going to give them up because it is very, very clear that they entered this part of India illegally. Chauhan said the suspect will be charged for violation of Indian law. Ivan Sukhmanovsky is Ukrainian. Stefankiev Mariam, that last name, so Mariam Stefankiev. Hansharuk, Maxim Hansharuk, and Viktor Kaminsky are 4 of the 5. that have been arrested. He said the region around Myanmar is a hotbed of insurgent activity. Those arrests could have been in the region to arrestees could have been in the region to train insurgents to fight Myanmar. However, many of these groups are also helping our insurgent groups that are operating inside of India, and so it is a disturbing factor. The India-Myanmar border is 1,643 kilometers long, and the lack of a continuous fence, the issue with our northeastern borders, a lot of people are trying to fish in these troubled waters. I'm not sure which foreign powers are involved in it, but we will come to know, and we have the capability to deal with this very soon. So who is Matthew Von Dyke? American filmmaker turned mercenary at the center of the terror probe. He fought in global conflicts. He was held as a POW during a civil war in Libya, and he fought in Syria and Ukraine. And now he's involved in some drone plot in Myanmar. Tell you what, it's quite a world out there. I suppose we should all get out and go sell drones. Be a very good deal. Let's see here. Ukraine is an enemy of Iran. Okay, EU facing energy price tsunami, says an envoy from Russia, that the prices are going to go way in the hell up. That's a big story. Lebanon is waiting for an Israeli onslaught. You know, they're going to go into there again, you know, slaughter some more people. You know, I suppose good for them, but long as it doesn't involve us, I'm not going to bitch about it. Actually, I am, because it always involves us. Let's see. The U.S. has been drawn by Israel into an unlawful war against Iran and needs help to disengage, says Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi. In an opinion piece published by The Economist on Wednesday, the Middle East nation's top diplomat called on U.S. allies in the region to tell the truth about the conflict and admit that Washington has lost control of its own foreign policy. There are two parties to this war who have nothing to gain from it, and that is the U.S. and Iran. The only ones who have anything to gain is Israel. I happen to agree with this point of view. Part of it. The U.S. maintains close security and defense partnership with 6 Gulf states: Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Oman, and has a significant military presence in the region, including bases and naval facilities. The escalation has had economic and security consequences for those states, with Iran retaliating against targets in their own territory, and Gulf officials have reportedly complained they were not consulted or warned before the U.S. and Israel launched the campaign against Iran on February 28. Why? Because they would have said, no, don't do it. That's why you don't consult them. Israel would never consult them. Israel consults no one. They tell the U.S. what they're going to do, and the U.S. follows along. I do need to share that clip with you. Where is it? Let's see. I think it's here. Let's follow on a little bit until I find him. But I'll keep looking for it and make sure that we have the Rubio commentary. Where is Mr. Rubio? Still looking. Hold on. But, you know, the Gulf states and Oman, I told you about or a little bit about the article that, or the statement that they made, saying it was not, they were not warned, knew nothing about it before they did it. And truthfully, that's a bad deal. Why wouldn't they tell them? I mean, why not? Seriously. It makes no sense to not tell them. And the one reason to not tell them is because Israel didn't want them to know. That's how it is. And because if you'd have told them, they'd have done something to try to stop it. That's what I believe. And I guess I'm not going to be able to share the Rubio quote. I wonder if I could find it separately. But there you have it. I have a thing about Israeli settlements that are going to spell the end for Christians that want to visit the Holy Land, the America First folks. The Christians that want to visit the Holy Land. West Jerusalem is doing nothing to prevent violence against Christian communities in the West Bank. Unabated settler violence, which is everywhere, along with Israel's continued settlement policy, taking other people's property and giving it to Israelis, will spell doom for the remaining Christian communities still located in the Holy Land, says Jason Jones, founder of the Vulnerable People Project. Israel has allegedly approved the demolition of thousands of homes in the West Bank that belong to Christian communities and is encroaching on the territory of some of the oldest Christian populations in the area, particularly around Bethlehem, as well as villages such as Taibeh, says Jones. The settlement of Shtema, located on the site of the former Israel military base just east of Bethlehem, will be the settlement, meaning the settlement of Israelis settling it. This will be the end of the Christian community in the Holy Land. He's raising an alarm. It will be the end of the oldest Christian community in the world because settlement was legalized by West Jerusalem last year. Settlement, all you got to do is go in, you pick a property, you go over there, and it's yours. It's nobody else's. It's yours now. The end. And off you go. And so we're authorizing this settlement. Go over there, and we'll build some new stuff. We'll bulldoze everything down and build some new crap for you. It's like President Trump said, well, gee, what if we put up a real great Trump Tower here? Wouldn't that be nice? Get rid of all these stone. Why would you want to live in these old stone structures anyway? Oh my God! Let's bulldoze all this and create a new Trump Tower, right? The NGO founder is an NGO whose organization operates in the West Bank and other territories. Warned that local Christian communities are also being attacked by settlers. There is direct physical violence. There is separating of the communities. Neither West Jerusalem nor Washington is willing to act, and the U.S. chooses to be on the side of the oppressor, Israel, says Jones. Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, is just ignoring the issues, according to Jones. Huckabee, who is a former Baptist minister, was not man enough to rise to the occasion and speak the truth, said Jones. He has a full interview, which I was going to share part of it with you, and I might. Just his name, where's his name? Hold on. Let's see what we got here.
Disturbing reports are emerging out of the historic Christian village of Taibeh in the West Bank. Now, residents say settlers attacked their community while Israeli forces were present in the area. What really happened? And why are some prominent Christian voices acknowledging it while others say the reports are exaggerated or false? I'm Scotty Nell Hughes, and this is America First. Were present in the area during about the safety of ancient Christian communities that have lived in that region for centuries. Now, Taibeh is one of the last remaining majority Christian Palestinian villages in the Holy Land. Its churches and traditions trace back generations.
You ought to see these videos.
A deeply significant
when they allow settlement, they let people go in there and they just beat people. They beat them out of the place. This is nonsense.
Some journalists and
with the military standing around and watch
as evidence of growing dangers for Christian communities that are in the region, while others have dismissed the claims as misleading or even exaggerated. So how do we actually separate the facts from the narratives from falsehoods? And
Yeah, all we get to do is listen to what the other bits. It's an interesting interview, and if you want to watch it, I'll share the video on my YouTube page so that you have it. Where are we here? It is. I still have time to put this in here, don't I? So, I shared part of this with you the other day, and I never got to finish it. And this was the article by Farhad Ibrahimov, the lecturer at the Facility of Economics. He's in the Faculty of Economics, Department of Political Science, Financial University of the Russian Federation. And the story talks about how Ukraine became an enemy of Iran. So allegedly, these two are also on a collision course, right? Oh, geez. Now here's one of the TVs up here. Now we got Bill O'Reilly interviewing Lindsey Graham. Oh, they want to support anti-terror. Yeah, this is not anti-terror measures. This is slaughter. Nuts. Tehran has effectively acknowledged Ukraine is a legitimate military target. So the head of the Iranian Parliament National Security made this statement in a post. And the next day, Iranian Foreign Ministry accused Ukraine's Zelensky of being involved in the conflict. And in diplomatic terms, this indicates that Tehran aligns Kiev's action with those of aggressors like U.S. and Israel. So this suggests that bilateral relations between Ukraine and Iran are going to be more hostile. So Iran's stance toward Ukraine has undergone a significant transformation over the years because of, in the last few years, Tehran has ceased to regard Kiev as neutral or a peripheral player and has begun to see it as part of a hostile anti-Iran coalition associated with Western military bloc. In this context, the claim of recognizing Ukraine as a legitimate military target, which they have, should be viewed not as a sudden political gesture, but as a culmination of systemic contradiction in bilateral relations. Ukraine has long been a source of irritation for Tehran, and it was only a matter of time before these relations soured. Historically, relations between Iran and Ukraine have lacked depth or significance. They were limited and primarily revolved around economic interaction. But over the past decade, trade between Tehran and Kiev showed stability. However, the lack of solid mutual interest decreased political engagement. Trade volume is below $500 million a year, despite growth potential. Tehran showed greater interest in Ukraine in 2010 to 2014 when the country was ruled by the proper president was President Viktor Yanukovych. However, following the coup, Western led, we should do that. We should do that like they do Putin's war. You can't have just a war in Ukraine. It's got to be Putin's unprovoked war in Ukraine. That's what it is. So we should call it. Viktor Yanukovych is gone. So we should. When we call it a coup, you can't just call it a coup. We should call it a U.S. and Western-backed allies coup that removed President Viktor Yanukovych. You have to say the whole sentence. That way, when you report it every time, people don't just hear the word coup, which doesn't mean anything. They hear who started it and why. The U.S. and U.S. Agency for International Development and other underhanded people wanted to get rid of the pro-Russian Viktor Yanukovych. He just wasn't anti-Russian. Viktor Yanukovych, he was a middle-of-the-road guy. He liked both the West and the East. He didn't want to destroy everything. That's not good enough. If you're in the U.S., you have to go and back a coup with people like Lindsey Graham and the deep state. This is how they do it. And so they backed this U.S.-led, Western-backed, and financed coup to get rid of President Yanukovych and his government. And then Ukraine, guess what they did? Made a sharp pivot toward the West and said, well, look at this. Just like Venezuela, when we go remove their leader, the next leader is going to kiss the ass of America for a little while before the next president comes along. That's what's going to happen, right? Despite this, prior to the start of the Russian military Listen to this. Here's Lindsey Graham. He's speaking right now. We will guarantee you spent fuel supply forever. He turned it all down. This is where he stretches this crap that just because you have enriched uranium says you got a nuclear weapon. Guy's a nut. I took the nuclear courses. I understand them probably better than he does. And you don't get a nuclear weapon just because you have enriched uranium. But that's what they're trying to sell them here. Nonsense. So it's just crap. And it doesn't mean they're not going to go get it. It's not. And then he switches. Oh, man, I could go on for days on that topic. Because it's all about same thing. More war, more Israel, more let's steal the oil from whoever we got to steal it from because we're America. That's what we do. I disagree with that approach. Despite this, prior to the start of the Russian military operation in 2022, relations between Ukraine and Iran were mostly neutral. The absence of serious political contradiction allowed for minimal level of necessary diplomatic interaction. The turning point came in January 2020 when Iran shot down a Ukrainian International Airlines Flight 752 after its departure from Imam Khomeini International Airport. This tragic incident unfolded amid escalating tension between Iran and the U.S. following the assassination of IRGC General Qasem Soleimani and the U.S. strike in Iraq. And amid fears of a potential attack, Iranian air defense mistakenly identified the civilian aircraft as a threat, which led to a catastrophic error. Despite Tehran's swift acknowledgement of responsibility and subsequent apologies, the incident acted as a powerful catalyst for the deterioration of relations between Iran and Ukraine. No surprise there. Kyiv adopted a hardline stance, insisting on international investigations, compensations, legal accountability. That should be perceived anyway. This was perceived by Iran as a form of political pressure by Western nations. He wanted to have Western nations come do it. Zelensky asked in such a way that left Tehran little room to deal with him directly. Since 2020, the relations have steadily worsened and were exacerbated further by broader geopolitical shifts. After the Russian military operation, Iran maintained a neutral position. This approach stemmed from Tehran's desire to distance itself from a conflict in which it was not involved and to avoid escalation. In official statements, Iran emphasized the need for political and diplomatic resolution and urged both sides to engage in dialogue, like many countries are. But they're not supplying targeting data. And, at the same time, at the UN, Iran voted against anti-Russian resolutions initiated by Western countries and Kyiv. Tehran refrained from making a direct anti-Russia statements, and Kyiv indirectly, if you don't, it's the exact same thing. If you don't condemn Russia, if you don't condemn Iran, if you just say it's not our dispute, that's not enough. If you don't condemn them and lick the rear end of Netanyahu and Zelensky, you are anti-Semitic and anti-Ukrainian. Crap. It's nonsense. That's why I'm sharing this article with you. With Iran, a significant portion of society and public opinion leaders view Russia's actions as a necessary response in the prevailing political military climate. The turning point in the summer of 2022, when late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini placed the blame for escalating tensions squarely on NATO. By the way, that's where they belong, which the Iranian leadership saw as a destabilizing force in the entire region. Also true. Khomeini particularly noted that NATO's eastward expansion and increased military support for Ukraine created conditions under which Russia felt compelled to act. What do they call it? A existential threat, which is exactly what Iran is claiming right now. It's an existential threat. With Israel doing what they're continually doing, Iran's not going to capitulate, which means everybody has to escalate. Every time, what is his name? Netanyahu decides to bomb an oil field, That's the same thing that Iran does. They bomb another oil field. You bring a gun, you bring a knife, I bring a gun, you bring a gun, all that stuff we already went through, right? It's the exact same thing. Now you blew up my largest airfield. All right, I'm going to take out 2 of yours. I'm going to take out all the shipping. I'm going to take the island of Kark. Well, guess what? I'm going to blow up the island of Kark because if I can't have it, neither can you. This is where we're going. And the most likely person, and think about this from the Iranian perspective, okay? And I'm not saying they're right. I don't care if they're right. I don't care if Netanyahu's right. That doesn't enter into it. What enters into it is we shouldn't be there as the United States. It's BS for us to be there, number one. And number two, the risk of a nuclear button being pushed because you keep one-upping. It is far more, since there are no nuclear weapons in Iran, and it's an existential threat for Iran, which means they're never going to capitulate, which means that Israel will then be justified in taking whatever measures are necessary. They already do that. They slaughter women and children. They don't care. They kill them because they're in the way. And, we've been fighting this war for 40, 50, 60, whatever years. 1948, was it? You add it up. We've been fighting this war, and if we don't kill them all, they'll just be back. There's the theory, right? And that's okay if you're Israel because you've been fighting this war for a long time. It's not okay for the United States, and we shouldn't be involved in it. Period. End of sentence. Not end of show. Still got some more time to go here. Anyway, these statements made by Khamenei in 2022 outlined Iran's position and pushed it beyond a stance of strict neutrality. That's not strict neutrality, which I'm not either. I believe that it's not a neutral thing. I believe that NATO intentionally pushed Russia, created Russia as an enemy, just like they've done for Iran for the last 60 years. So Iran hates Americans. So if they're not coming to America, I give a crap. It means I can't go to Iran, and frankly, I want to. I want to see some of those Persian sites that have been around for 2,500, 3,500 years. When I went over to the Silk Road in Uzbekistan, in Kazakhstan, it was freaking amazing. They have mosques that were built, 2,000 years ago. I mean, it's fantastic to go see this culture. I am anti-war. Where the hell is diplomacy? I thought Donald Trump was the negotiator and the deal guy. He's not the negotiator and the deal guy now. He's the big swinging dick, and he's got, Hegseth on the end of it. It's nonsense. Sorry, that was crude. I shouldn't say stuff like that, but it's exactly what we have here. It's nonsense. We're fighting in another place where we don't need to be. The next Iraq, the next Syria, the next Afghanistan, now Iran. The end. Now we're pissing off all the Gulf states too. So all these creations of Netanyahu saying, "Oh, gee, I could lead Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to be okay, fine." But I believe that he's been, I don't want to say lied to, but things have been stretched. If you have to go around and advertise by Lindsey Graham that they're just steps away from a nuclear bomb, that is crap. The IAEA was in there all of last year and said that's not the case. There are plenty of documents that say that's not the case. But we're out here lying. And what was this for, a regime change? Is this because they had nuclear weapons? Is this because Israel attacked and it looks like we have a good shot at jumping in and taking out people we've hated for years and killing all their women and children? And, that way we can get rid of several generations. All 92 million, all it takes is a nuclear weapon, right? All it takes is Netanyahu pushing a button. His problems are solved. Right? This is nonsense, this escalation crap. Despite the Biden administration offering to revive a nuclear deal if Iran cut ties with Russia or China, Iran refused to negotiate with ultimatums, especially given the deep-seated mistrust of America. And again, that's a theme that I constantly say. You can't trust them because 4 years later, they change horses. And those horses change everything. Treaties, they don't matter. UN charter, that doesn't matter either. Not if you're America. You don't have to follow those rules. And I'm not anti-American. I just believe in rules. And the rules, we don't follow them. We try to force them on other people, but we don't follow them. Iran has joined both the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and BRICS. They're members. Now, those aren't defensive at all. Those are economic. And so Ukraine repeatedly resorted to diplomatic protests. They summoned the Iranian ambassador into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of their country all the time. Bilateral relations are marked by uncertainty, and the nature of interaction are increasingly hostile. Essentially, Iran and Ukraine relations entered a phase of rapid decline, driven by differing interpretation of the cause and nature of the very conflict. You either believe Zelensky that, oh, gee, there we were one day and nothing was going on and we weren't bombing anybody. There we were, just simple Ukrainian farmers trying to do what we do every day and just be Ukrainian, just trying to live. And along came the big bad Russian bear and ran in and did something. There was no referendum. Nobody heard that word before. Nobody's even acknowledged that there was 8 years where they were bombing the crap out of Donbass from Ukraine and killing ethnic Russians. Nobody paid any attention to it. None. And it was being built up as a huge problem all the way down the line. But nobody listened to it. And anybody that was around in 2022 in February knows that the initial thing that we heard in America, those of us who knew better, obviously knew that wasn't the case. But the only thing that Americans were being told was, here comes big bad Russia, ran into those poor Ukrainians. We need to send money and weapons to the Ukrainians. And that's exactly what we did. And more than half of the population had no idea where Ukraine is or how to find it on a map. They just heard Russian bad guys. They've always been the bad guys. And so therefore, let's send money and let's wave a Ukrainian flag in the front yard. Same crap we're told all the time about Israel. There's not a bat. They can do no wrong. None. And therefore, Iran's an evil empire. Oh, really? How come they've been around 2,500 years if they've been just nothing but evil? They have a culture and a history that is different than ours. But if you don't understand culture and history and what is going on, they're extremists on both sides. An extremist from Israel is just as bad as an extremist from a Muslim country, including Iran. They're the same cloth. And Netanyahu is a killer, just like Khomeini was, if you believe all the Khomeini things. And I believe most of it. I believe that there were death to this, death to that, chanting this, chanting that. Well, what are they doing in Israel? Same damn thing. Kill them all. Let God sort it out. Just like American Special Forces. An additional factor contributing to the deterioration of relations between Iran and Ukraine was the claim made by the West and Ukraine that Iran is supplying Russia with Shahed drones. This was picked up by the media and was pressed everywhere to say that Iran is providing all these drones to America. We need to sanction Iran more for the drones and for all of that, right? This was picked up by the media and is one of the key tools to pressure Tehran. Iranian and Russian officials deny these things. They had the Shahed drone, I forget what they renamed it, but Russia they don't buy them from Iran. They create them based on the Iranian model. That's what they do. So you say it's a Shahed drone, but it's not. The Russians call it something else and have rebuilt it. And if anything, Iran's been buying Russian drones of the reverse because Russia took the model, upgraded it, rebuilt them, repurposed them, made them better, and used them in the war in Ukraine. And that means that Iran is now suddenly the enemy, right? And they've been using that as well, because anytime you can take a dig at Iran, you do. That's how it works. And these bilateral relations have been in rapid decline, driven by different opinions caused by the nature of the conflict in these deteriorating relations. Now we're talking about potential retaliation, right? The open endorsement of U.S. sanctions against Iran by Ukrainians saying, sanction Iran, along with other demonstrative support for U.S. President Trump's anti-Iran policies, were seen as attempts by Tehran as an attempt to line a broader strategy to pressure Iran. All of this led to Iran becoming increasingly concerned that Ukraine might provide Israel not just with political but military technical support. And now Ukraine is offering exactly that. Iran drew particular attention to Kiev's statement about its readiness to assist Arab nations in creating counter-drone threats. Iran interprets this as anti-Iran, as they should. And all of these have led to the increasing perception of Ukraine as a hostile actor to Iran. Should Iran confirm Ukraine's direct involvement in actions? Ready? All these factors have led to this perception. The situation reached a climax when Iranian politicians, particularly Ibrahim Azizi, stated that Tehran no longer views Ukraine as neutral. Azizi, a former prominent military general and respected figure in the IRGC, holds a key position in the parliament and wields significant authority in the political hierarchy of Iran. His words have particular meaning, is what that means. And as the head of Iran Parliament's National Security Commission, he articulates sentiments, and Parliamentary Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf cannot openly express. Many Iranian lawmakers have advocated for severing ties with Ukraine until another administration comes to power that might be willing to normalize relations. Should Iran confirm this involvement, Tehran would swiftly resort to a full range of retaliatory measures. In such a scenario, Iran would activate an extensive arsenal of strategies from military technical responses to others. This strategy is deeply rooted in the logic of Iranian foreign policy. Tehran's shift toward a harsher rhetoric about Ukraine specifically is a logical culmination of accumulated contradictions. Given the ongoing U.S. aggression against Iran, it seems increasingly likely that Tehran will adopt an even tougher stance on Ukraine, particularly if Kiev maintains its current course of action, means supplying anti-drones and all that other stuff. So this is escalating. This is not going away, friends and neighbors. I tell you what, I do not like this war. I do not like that we're involved in this BS, and I really do feel. I saw something on the TV a little while ago from Netanyahu, was on Fox earlier, talking about the war in Iran, of course, and saying that we're not leading the U.S. in this garden path. No. You think Donald Trump is gonna listen to us? Well, he is. And he's in there because of you, because you personally have been pushing war with Iran for 20 freaking years, as have many others, including Lindsey Graham. They're all on the talk circuits. They're all whipping stuff up to create another forever war that we have nothing to do with, nor should we. So I'm against it. I'm very glad you stuck in today and listened to me, and I've realized that this is not the proper time slot. Tomorrow morning, the 20th of March, we'll be doing Civic Outlaws. Got a remake. We've got, there's some information going on tomorrow. I hope you listen up tomorrow on Civic Outlaws. Coming to you tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm also going to do my Russian show. I think I'm going to pick a time. I'm going to say Sunday at 9 a.m. Also, Central Standard Time, I'm going to come in and do my Russian version of the show. You can always listen to International Flavor at internationalflavor.com. Have all the shows on there. And we have all of the damradio.com/podcast. You can go find them out there too, along with many of the other hosts on Damn Radio. And we hope you do go out and listen to the podcast of everyone. Thank you for joining in this evening. I will be taking the weekend off, at least from International Flavor, doing my Russian version. I thank you very much for listening. See you tomorrow for Civic Outlaws.